All right, folks. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
We're just going to make sure everyone's muted. And welcome to another tasting club. It's all right. It's a bit of a turnout tonight. We still thought people would be away on holidays, but it's nice to see so many of you here tonight. Well done,
Well
everyone.
done, everyone. Great energy, guys.
And some of you look like you've got a bit of colour. Maybe you've gone to somewhere nice and exotic for your summer holidays.
Scotland.
Uh, Scotland. Yeah. Sandra. We know Jez and Jane here tonight. Yes, Jez is there. Yay, 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 yay. Got messages from them. They got together in Edinburgh and didn't see us at the Edinburgh Fringe this year. No, we weren't there. Sorry, folks. We had a year off. Um, First year in 12, so we deserved it.
Now the
And
Gallagher's have a chance. Give the poor guys a chance, man.
yeah,
Um,
let some other people sell tickets. Was it good? Anyone who went, thumbs up. Was it a good Fringe this year? Yeah, thumbs up. Good. Still there, even though Oasis tried to ruin it with their daft concerts. Right, so we're going to do a rum tasting, aren't we, Ben?
we certainly are. Welcome, everyone. It's the last throes of summer. We're feeling. It was just the Notting Hill Carnival down the road from me. It feels like the end. It really does feel like the end of the fun times, the sun times. So we decided we were gonna taste some tropical rums from Indonesia, and we have with us to help us Dre Masso. Yeah,
Woo!
yeah. Now Dre is a legend of the liquor. We've known him since 2000, no, before that, late 90s. Worked at Lonsdale Lab, Worldwide Cocktail Club with the late great Henry Besant, fellow QPR Super Hoop. Um, he's just won Global Brand Ambassador of the Year for work with Nusa Cana, which is what we're trying today, but also Altos Tequila. We worked in San Francisco, didn't you, Dre?
Yeah, I spent 6 months with Julio Bermejo, ambassador of tequila for the United States. That triggered
Yeah.
off my love affair with that spirit category.
That's at
So
he's got a great bar, a Tommy's bar
Yeah,
in San Francisco, which we've been to, which is where
yeah.
the Tommy's Margarita was born as well, folks. If you like a Tommy's, that is. I put someone onto that the other day who had never tried it, and it is remarkable. They were asking me how to make a margarita. I was like, well, just make a Tommy's, mate, because
Exactly.
it is
yeah.
better.
Dre's been working. I mean, working in the industry for years. The Worldwide Cocktail Club with you've trained a lot of great bartenders. Our last session I did with you was in Warsaw, uh, with We Were Over, which was quite epic.
Those trips,
It was
they
Yeah.
never
quite
do them
epic.
like they used to, do they, Dre?
I don't
No,
remember much of that time, to be honest with you.
no, it was. I feel
Responsible
quite
drinking is
ashamed what
taken over.
happened on those trips. But I've had the therapy and we've moved on, guys. Um,
They let you
so,
out of prison, Ben. That's the
but,
main
but,
thing.
but in short, one of the legends of the liquor industry. So we're very pleased and delighted, honoured to have him here to talk through the three different rums. Andre, you were involved specifically in the coconut variety, but you're essentially the brand ambassador who can talk us through the entire range, and you've also got familial historical links to its homeland, Indonesia.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a friend of the brand. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that. Yeah, activist, ambassador, the speaker. I just, if there's a moment or a project that I can get involved with, then I do. It's
yeah,
pretty relaxed relationship. The founder's a good friend, in particular, Mark Rodriguez, who also, like yourselves, like myself, has decades of working in the industry. He lives in Bali. I lived in Bali for 4 years. I've worked with a hospitality company in Bali since 2010. I'm still going with them as a consultant. But that's where this relationship began. In 2016, Mark came to the beach club where I was working. That beach club is now a beach club. It's pretty much a village now, but it's beach club and two hotels and studios and library and restaurants and bars and everything else. It's called Potato Head. It's in Semuanya, Bali. I was running the beverage program there and for all of their operations in Asia. And Mark came along with just an unmarked bottle, if you like, with some liquid in it, and said, "I've got this idea, this dream. Didn't have a name, didn't have a look, but it had a really good story to it." And that's where we met. It's been the house pour rum since it launched in 2016 at Potato Head. So yeah, I'm helping them to get the word out.
I mean, this isn't a country that I had necessarily associated with rum before I was looking into it. But obviously, there's a lot of heritage there. So, are there other brands in Indonesia, and what's the heritage of
Yeah,
this category over there?
this is pretty special. So yeah, I hadn't heard much about it, and a lot has changed in recent times, but more so in Bali. So I'll get back to that. So I think we have to kind of go back to the 1500s when the Dutch were exploring the world and tried getting into Indonesia. The Portuguese got there first and pushed them away, but then they tried a little bit later, and it was really all about the ingredients, the spices. And Indonesia is part of the tropics, has the biggest collection of islands, one of the biggest collection of islands, one of the biggest collections of volcanoes too. And when a volcano erupts, it makes the land incredibly fertile. So it has these wonderful like microclimates, really rich soil, so great for growing ingredients. I think the Dutch initially were like, okay, we're here for the nutmeg and clove, which were more valuable. Nutmeg was more valuable than gold at that time. It was used as currency and to trade, etc. When the Dutch arrived to Java, Indonesia's capital, they renamed it Batavia after one of their areas, and they did that in various places. They did that in Canada, and they did that in the US, and this was their Indonesian stamp, if you like. But they discovered a lot of people were making alcohol for the community, a bit like mezcal in and around Oaxaca. Now it's becoming a lot more commercial, but originally a lot of that mezcal was made for the village. In the same way, this Batavian arak, and just to talk about arak quickly, arak you see spelt different ways, but that goes back to the Arabics. It just translates to distill or to concentrate. It was the generic term for alcohol. There's arak all over the world. It's something slightly different when we get to the Middle East and Europe, where it's alcohol flavored often with sweetened and flavored with aniseed and other things. But this was just kind of generic terminology. So the Dutch called it Batavian arak. It was made from sugarcane. It was a dark sugarcane, and it tasted really good. So as well as taking back the spices, they started to take back in the 1600s. They made the first kind of commercial distillery, if you like. So it's around 1640, and shortly after that, we're bringing it back to the Netherlands. It was a really good quality. There's a few things that make that Batavian arak very different. So it's made with molasses from sugarcane, but during fermentation, and this was an influence that came from the Chinese that migrated to Indonesia to find work, improve their lives, etc. But I think they brought with them a process that they were familiar with. So during fermentation, chuck in some rice, and that would work as a catalyst to get that change going and convert those sugars into alcohol. So these were red rice bricks that were thrown in, and as well as kind of speeding things up, it gave it this wonderful, funky flavor profile. And that for me makes something, a real unique taste for Batavian arak or Indonesian Javanese rum. There's something else that happens. So the rest of the process is you'll be familiar with. So after fermentation, it's distilled twice in small pot stills. And then for aging, this would have been one of those happy accidents. Was okay, let's ship this liquid to Holland, and let's put it in barrels made out of local wood. Local wood is teak wood, which is a very hard wood. These were quite large barrels. And then when it gets to the other end, that flavor profile has softened and it's gained a little bit of color, and some additional flavors too. So just generally speaking, when you age in wood, you get some of those wonderful baking spices. Not in the same way. I don't think teak wood works in the same way as, let's say, some of the preferred wood like American white oak, which has an abundance of vanilla and tropical flavors. But
Yeah, it's interesting because, like you say, it's a hard wood. So,
yeah,
what does it provide then? And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of vanillins in the American oak, so you get those vanilla profiles on bourbon. But in terms of teak, what's it sort of imparting?
it has some of those, but in a really, really soft way. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it adds a kind of woody note to it. But you're seeing less of that, those proud vanilla notes. But kind of the generic baking spices. There's a little bit of clove, a little bit of cinnamon, and everything else that you normally find. But and then just a really light color, so it's got this lovely kind of light hay or golden hue to it. So the Dutch were bringing that back to Amsterdam to a company called E&A Shears. E&A Shears are now the masters, and have been since forever, of buying, mixing, blending, and selling rums to the world.
Yeah.
When we were going through our COVID crisis, and obviously our crisis was nowhere near as significant as people who are actually sick, but ours was, we don't have any work. We said, what the hell are we going to do? And we got in touch with them because we thought we were going to buy a Colombian rum and try and bottle it. But yeah, they're the real deal, aren't they?
Yeah. Literally, if you wanted to make a rum, you would give them a call, you'd have an appointment. It's like a kid in a candy store. You could say, I want Colombian, Filipino, Chinese, Indian. They've got every kind of rum that exists, and they've got a lot of it stored at different facilities. I in fact tried I think a new Colombian rum on my last visit there about 3 months ago. It was delicious. They help a lot of rums that we see on the shelves of supermarkets and bars that you would assume and think are predominantly made or all made from that country of origin. But I think because they have just, they have so much to play with, they can add, they can build up flavor, or they can add a backbone to a rum, or add something else that it may be missing. So even something that might kind of stand proudly as a national rum, let's say a Cuban rum, or they may have some of these other rums that E&A Shears have acquired and put their way. So
is it like a big? Are there warehouses there, or is it literally just like or is it like Argos? We go in and go. You don't actually see any of it.
It's a bit like
I want this, and this, and then they go into the back and then bring it out. Or can you go around? Is it quite atmospheric, or is it pretty?
I'd say it's a tame version of kind of the Willy Wonka setup, and It is a bit like Argos. You don't get to see everything there, because I think for safety as well, they've got to store things in different. There's so much liquid. But if you went there and said, I wanted to make, Ben and Tom's rum, and then you start talking about flavor profiles, immediately they can bring out samples of this liquid for you to take and perhaps try a little blend or whatever. But then what you're seeing as you walk through those facilities, you're seeing some of those perhaps new blends or existing blends being rested, and then they'd go into containers, and then they're shipped to wherever they need to go. The great thing, and the kind of the reason that the Dutch were so great, is because they were bringing everything into Rotterdam and Amsterdam, two big ports, and then to the rest of Europe. And that still happens today. And there's still a lot of, our glass comes from Rotterdam, and it's a lot of the flavor profiles are put together in Rotterdam. The guy that we've collaborated, he's there. So it's this hub for for creativity within the booze business, with a big focus on rum. So E&A Shears are the masters. I'm being completely transparent. A lot of people wouldn't talk about that. But the first ever liquid they brought to their facilities was this Batavian Arak. That's why it's, I think, so important, so relevant. Nusa Cana is a blend. So about a third of our liquid is this pure Batavian Arak. And then the rest is made up of rums from the Caribbean. And it's hard to pinpoint exactly how many. I'd say roughly about 12 other rums. But when you visit those facilities, you that gets explained, because they will make perhaps a light rum profile, and then you taste that, or different light rum profiles. And you might say, well, I want a bit of that, which has already got a few in there, mixed with a bit of that, which has also got a few in there. So it ends up being, a plethora of different rums and different quantities. But that's what Nusa Cana is. For Mark, the founder, he really wanted to push out this forgotten story and bring it back to the rest of the world.
So obviously,
should we try one?
Well, let's
should we get one on the go and taste one more?
Yeah.
What are we going to start with?
So I would start with the what's called the tropical island expression. It's the light rum. This is the blend. It's 37.
So this is what it looks like, guys. You can probably there you go.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about how this came together.
It's a very cool bottle. I love that label.
It's the house rum, or the flagship, is 37.5. Mark did a lot of research for Distill Ventures, as well as working for Bacardi and for Pernod Ricard and Diageo, all the big players. And there was definitely this trend towards, a softer style of rum, and more accessible. So for the house, it's 37.5. I think it still has a bold character, has loads of wonderful tropical notes. You're going to get a natural coconut there on the aroma. So there's nothing added there. And we do have a coconut rum, which we'll be trying in a second. But
so there's nothing added to that. So what's that coming from then, Dre?
Well, a bit of everything. So the raw material, it's the type of sugar cane, and I think it does have this kind of juicy, grassy note. And then
almost Mauritian, sort of Mauritian.
Yes. So that kind of Mauritian note that you have, that kind of, it's hard to explain, but it's almost this kind of milky, earthy, almost kind of cachassery note. I think largely comes from that fermentation process where, in the world of mezcal, or lots of other products too, you have this kind of over fermented thing going on, or this kind of lacto fermentation, which makes it all kind of interesting and funky. And I think something similar is happening here with that collaboration with the red rice.
So the red rice sort of kickstarts the fermentation, does it? So there's a yeast. From what I'm understanding, is that there's yeast within the spores of the rice, and then so it sort of just gets things going.
Yeah,
like a catalyst.
Bacteria and it's allowing.
So it's quite old school, very old. And also, but after it arrived in Holland, this Batavian Arak, it would have been used in punches in London. So the big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many beautiful aspects to it. The word cocktail was first defined in 1806. I think it's May the 13th, 1806, where there's a newspaper, Hudson Times, an article had mentioned the word cocktail. A writer had written to the editor saying, "What's this all about? This word cocktail? Haven't heard that before." And he explains that, in simple terms, it's an old fashioned. It's a spirit with sugar and bitters. Really simple, those three ingredients. But prior to that, in the 1600s, people were drinking the Arak punch. And that would have been made using that liquid that I've been talking about. It was the drink of choice of the time. The recipes that I've come across are pretty simple and quite easy to replicate, which is nice too. So some kind of citrus, probably a little bit of lemon juice, pineapple juice, a little bit of sugar, and then the rum. And then what made it different is that, if you were kind of working class, you'd be drinking that punch from a wooden vessel, a wooden punch bowl, And if you were high society, you would have been drinking that from a silver punch
Pewter,
bowl.
yeah.
Yeah, or shared one of those big, beautiful silver punch bowls, and then it was pimped up with grated nutmeg. That was the sign that you
Ah,
touch. Yeah,
money.
yeah.
sign in the
Someone's just
nutmeg.
asked if it was a natural fermentation, natural yeast on the rice. They're not adding yeast to this process for the fermentation.
Yeah, I think now it is. It's a bit of both. So
Yeah, I would.
there is there's a
They want to
Oh, yeah,
accelerate
sorry,
it,
I
don't
answered
they?
that question and said it was, yeah, but originally it would have been, the rice would have been, well, originally they
Well,
wouldn't have known
everything
what
would have
the
been
fuck was going on, would they? They
natural.
would have
yeah.
known it
No.
was yeast. They were like,
All kind of
that
tri
rice seems to work.
trial and error. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that batch. Yeah.
God is
Mm.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so how are we suggesting drinking this? Because I'm actually quite enjoying it neat, Dre. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
Has it been created for cocktails or?
yeah, very, very much so. I think we all have a kind of cocktail background, and the other team, the rest of the team too. I think they wanted to do a few things. I think they wanted to compete with, some of the top selling rums out there. So looking at it being something of a bartender's choice, so something
Right.
that had great mixability in simple serves, could be drunk neat, but also in everything cocktailian. So a good, kind of good litmus test for a lot of bartenders and a lot of people who love drinks would be to go for a daiquiri. So I would certainly say try out a natural daiquiri with this. I
Mm.
have been drinking this just with coconut water. They seem to marry superbly well, and if you want to give it a little twist or squeeze of citrus, you can. I generally will cut a like wafer thin lime and just let that sit in the drink without adding too much. But you can get good coconut water here, and
Yeah.
it kind of feels like you are doing something like sensible or healthy or like I don't
Gotta
know,
be
like
careful, haven't we?
coconut water, like
Going back to those Polish trips, things have changed.
yeah,
And
yeah,
also,
But
it's,
yeah, I like the
if you
idea
want
of
to,
that. It is a bit, if people are drinking coconut water. It's got to be better if the mixer is slightly healthier. But
yeah,
but also you can use the coconut afterwards in an ethical manner. What you do is you bore two holes in the side of it, right? You scoop out the coconut. This is good for birds in the winter. So
okay,
because I've got a bird bath that freezes in the winter, which is bad for the bird. So the birds, they don't get the water because it
well, it might
freezes.
like skating. It might not be bad.
Well, yeah, they can skate on it. But if you hang a coconut with two holes in it and put the water in there from a tree, then the birds, when they land on it and drink out of it, they obviously it sways, so that the water never freezes. So I might. I will go. Maybe if you're lucky, guys, I'll go and take a
Get
picture of
onto
it and I can
here.
send it to the group. Is everyone up for that?
Let's
Um,
have a separate podcast.
yeah, yeah.
all
Look, there's a lot of links
related to that,
between
man.
gardening and drink. Because I did, well, we did. Do you remember we did that piece of Gardener's World where they asked us to find out which is the best beer to drown snails in. Do
Yeah.
you remember that? And we have got loads of different beers, and
Is it
we
Fuller's
got
London
loads of
Pride, I
these
think?
snails, and they all went for one beer. No,
Was
none
it?
of them died. We saved them in the end, but they love it. Anyway, I,
Anyway, bit of
I
a
digress.
swerve
But
there.
it's ethical as well, coconut water, isn't it? You
But
can
what's
use it.
interesting is people are tasting this and they are saying it's like there's more flavour to it than one of the more
yes,
familiar brands on in the
Yeah,
supermarket. And I think
yeah.
that's
So
what's been interesting about the
so
daiquiri generally is this idea that there is if you start to add something that's got a bit more character to it, it really can enhance the drink.
yeah, it's a delicious beverage, really, really simple. So that other rum that we might be talking about, I think, launched in the 1860s, 1862, 1864. That year, they were producing more than 5 million bottles of Batavian Iraq. It was considered
really.
the luxury spirit of the time. It was it was chosen over cognac and other aged spirits. It was also used for advertising, come to the tropics, come to Exotica, and it was, someone portrayed with, a bottle or a glass of Arak. So it really was, super popular and considered like the first luxury spirit, but then just kind of faded out of fashion as things do. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, this now sells more than that other rum in Indonesia. So it
Wow,
has overtaken that other rum.
that is amazing.
Blimey. They,
So, but
uh,
also, I mean, with so many people visiting there on holidays. One of the ones is it Nat, I think, who's just messaged saying he's been to Potato Head this year.
Oh, nice.
Uh, so with that, obviously they that many people holidaying there and then coming back. I mean, it's a nice. They're all. It's good to have these missionaries going
Yeah,
everywhere. And so as you get distribution everywhere else, having that holiday recognition is a
yeah.
great thing to have.
Yeah, and it does do quite well in duty free there. What you can
Yeah.
get in duty free, and it's the only place you can purchase now, is that kind of original liquid, the Batavian Iraq.
Oh,
We have
really?
made some. We call it the Godfather because it's like the original,
Yeah.
and the only place to get it at the moment is duty free in Bali.
wow.
But
Okay. Bring it in,
it's not
Dre.
so because isn't there? There's also there's another spirit that sounds it's spelt differently, but it's like the aniseed. It's like ouzo, isn't it? And I think
Yeah,
whenever
that
I mention Iraq, a lot of people get those two things confused.
yeah. So that's more Middle East and then different
Yeah,
parts of
yeah. So it's not
Europe
that.
too. But
Okay.
in
It's
Bali,
yeah,
so working at Potato Head, the mission was always to use local ingredients where possible. So that goes for everything, liquid, fruits, veg, herbs, whatever. And also on top of that, they have really high importation tax, so it's really expensive to get foreign product. That goes for everything: meat, tea, booze, wine, you name it. So there's a big kind of black market thing going on. My boss chooses not to operate that way, so we had to kind of think outside the box. So we started visiting at that time, early on in around 2012, 13, these micro distilleries or village distilleries is probably a better way of terming it. Um, to go and taste the product, because there's a lot of bad Iraq that's been made in the past, and if you look into
yeah,
it, especially in Bali and the tourists drinking like this uncontrolled, unorthodox spirit, really crude. So we went to the source to try and find it, and that's the only way we could really find it. And then a couple of distilleries started making better products, and now there are quite a few in Bali. It's harder outside of Bali, especially in Java,
mm.
mostly due to kind of like religious reasons.
Oh,
So,
okay, yeah,
there's never any promotion about that one distillery in Java. You'll never be able to do a distillery visit. It's had a relationship with this Dutch company that goes back 350 years, and that's why there's this one channel.
yeah,
Um, and we won't see anything else happening in Java, but in Bali we're seeing nutmeg liqueurs that are being created, and different types of rice and cane and coconut spirits, and they're getting really good. So
Mm.
interesting.
amazing.
Worth a trip then.
Yeah.
Just for work, you know.
But yeah, yeah. Someone I don't know what this means, and I apologies if this is I don't know. Does Dre recommend drinking this with a bintang chaser?
Yeah, yeah. That'd be a
What's
great.
bintang?
Bintang is the beer of
Oh,
Bali.
okay, all right. I
Ah,
thought that
okay.
was kind of code word for
Should
something.
know that
Okay,
beer
all
writer.
right.
Is that
Okay.
not in World's Best Beers, Ben?
No, they didn't make it.
Yeah, it is
It's a sundowner.
it's the sundowner for sure. Bintang, I think, means star. It's got the star logo, and it seems very customary for a lot of tourists to buy the Bintang wife beater vest. to go with it. It's part of the experience.
Nat, have you got
But yeah, and
one?
also there are some other great beers coming out of the island too, as well. More of the kind of craft scale.
Well, I suppose it's just like every other country. Once you start seeing the evolution of drink and the information spreading around the world through the internet, people want to have a go, don't they? So,
Yeah.
okay, should we have another drink? What's the next rum we're
So
trying?
if you go in chronological order, it would be the spice rum. So tropical spice, that's what it looks like. Pour yourself a little bit if you haven't already. I'll do that too. Um, and this conversation came very early on. You know, we're talking about a region that's famous for its spices. I've got a chef friend called Will Goldfarb, who's featured on the Netflix Chef's Table, the one that's specifically about patisserie chefs. He's the last episode. He came from New York and settled in Bali because for him it was the place to be. The best sugar, some of the best vanilla, cinnamon, ginger, coffee.
Really?
You know, so he's like, I'd be crazy not to be there as a pastry chef. And he's got a restaurant in Ubud called Room for Dessert, where I think have changed. When I first went there around 2000 and maybe 14, it was a 9-course dessert experience. Pretty
Bloody
exhausting.
hell! I mean, I like dessert, but that's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I think he's kind of
Pudding.
changed the format a bit, but it just shows like the importance of those flavors on and around the island. Just to talk, as we were talking about Ubud, where that restaurant is, there's also a beautiful mask museum. And the Potato Head graphic designer, guy called Stevie Anderson, who's from England, but he spent a lot of time traveling through Asia, inspired by a lot of kind of iconography and the cultures, etc. So he went with Mark to that museum and saw this antique mask of a Barong character, and that inspired the illustration. The Balinese have this blended religion of Buddhism and Hindu, and it's great. They have kind of a celebration for every day and everything, and there's this duality, like yin and yang thing going on. It's often like good and bad, and there's kind of two characters within this face. But yeah, back to the rum.
Mm.
There are 6 spices. I don't know if you have that information, but if not, I ask to see if anyone kind of picks up on anything that's.
No, you won't.
No,
It's on the bottle, and I don't think I put it in the email. So any guesses? We've already had one roasted pineapple, so we'll give that. That's in there. Well, pineapple.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So the kind of the key flavors and what we talked about before in terms of the Dutch discovering and stealing and then selling on was the nutmeg and clove, and then you got pineapple and ginger there.
Oh, okay.
Which had an interesting kind of fresh note. And then, you know, I loved the coffee and chocolate of barley. So cacao and coffee were 2 things that incredible quality, and yeah, the Balinese are now like super geeky about coffee. So some of the best coffee shops in the world can be found in Bali.
When you lived there, Trey, was it? I mean, so coffee culture was big. I mean, was that? I mean, do they? Would they? Oh, I've never been, so it's an ignorant question. But do they drink coffee like we do in London and in Europe? Is it, or is there just one single serve? You can have a skinny latte in Indonesia in
Well,
Bali.
now you can have everything.
No, oh, okay, but how would they know? How would
So there's a few
normally?
things going on. There's I don't know if you've seen that film with Jack Nicholson, Bucket List.
Yeah.
I think he has this wonderful copper or gold coffee machine, and he's making coffee luwak, and he says this is the best coffee in the world.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about the same coffee they have in Indonesia. And this luwak animal, which is a bit like a kind of forest,
Weasel.
yeah,
Yeah.
forest cat type thing. He tells a story of like they select the beans and then they process them through their body, and when they come out the other end, they're like, they're then roasted and the rest. But the reality of that is because as a family, we visited one of these farms once, and these animals are kept in cage and they're forced these seeds
Ah,
and the
Right.
cotton cherries. So it's become something that's just for tourists. I think there was a thing originally that
mm.
someone would be making coffee in a very small scale that way. I'd say the majority of Indonesians are drinking really strong coffee, which is a little bit like the Turkish style, where it's very
Right. I was going to say, is it like a Turkish
Mm.
coffee? Yeah. Okay.
uh, finely ground often into the cup or into a jug and then put into the cup. And when you get to like the last few sips,
Yeah, it's
It's
just mud.
it's
It's
sediment.
fun. It's weird. Because I had in Turkey, I had Turkish coffee, and people, whenever I go on like a camping trip and we've got no one's bought fancy coffee machines, I just say we'll just have a Turkish coffee. But people just think that it's nuts. Why would you do that? But it works until
yeah,
that last.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't mind it. I like coffee kind of in any way.
yeah,
But I think, Bali's very close to Australia. So, Australians, they that crafted coffee scene,
yeah,
they have been pioneers in that. So there's a few brands that have Australians behind them. One coffee company called Revolver, who were the first really to kind of create that barista
Yeah.
and like kind of trendy coffee shop, and their branding's incredible. You see them
Mm,
at Bali Airport now as well, but now there are hundreds. Uh,
mm.
and
It's just coffee though, I mean, what a
just coffee.
racket. What a racket. Fancy
Um,
coffees. Just give me a black coffee, please.
um, good old
Yeah.
American diner coffee.
Oh, yeah.
But this, right. So the feedback on this rum, I don't know if you're seeing the messages, seems to be they very positive, very
You're
positive.
very positive. People who say they
But
don't really
also,
like spiced rum are enjoying it, so that's always a good
but
sign,
not
isn't it?
too sweet. And I agree with that. It's very
yeah,
Christmas cakey kind of. Not it doesn't have that. But let's
no,
face it, there's a lot of shit spice rum out there,
Yeah.
isn't there? Let's be honest.
yeah,
That is really, really, really sweet and saccharine and got no complexity to it at all. But that's
How's
I
that
think
been
it's probably
achieved, Dre? How have you managed to keep it? Because you can taste those spices on various levels.
yeah,
They are there. I mean, okay, when you tell me they're there, obviously my brain starts to identify them a bit easier. But
yeah.
they are there. How do you? I mean, spending a bit of time in the Caribbean, you see how they make their spiced rums and they sell them in the markets, and they are some of those are lethal. So
Yeah.
it's a kind of a tradition and a heritage where they would just put what they found into their spirit. How do you keep it quite a sophisticated palate?
It's a couple of ways, yeah, and that's a great question. So, um, I mentioned that our flavor guy, our taste maker, is a Dutch guy in Rotterdam, and he makes Dutch gin as well, and then his company helped with a lot of kind of logistics. But he's a bit of a mad scientist. So they're natural aromas. So everything has been created from the real ingredient. I think in the world of essences, there's very good and there's very bad and everything in
Mm,
between. And if you want to create a flavor of strawberry, I'd say for most candy, confectionery, things that we eat, it's rare that essence made from a real strawberry is used. It will be made from a combination of things to give that perception, and that's why it will taste like kind of super candied and sweet.
mm.
So we're only using natural aromas, natural essence, and then also keeping the sugar down. So you can add 2% sugar to rum. That doesn't sound like a lot. Maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but in a liter, that would be 20
yeah.
grams. 20 grams. So 4 teaspoons could be added to this rum, and you can find this information online. There are some rums that use hardly any or none at all, and some use close to that mark. So we've always gone, okay, let's test it at different levels, and can we go lower? Can we go lower? So there's a very small amount of sugar used in all these rums. Sometimes you just need it to kind of balance those flavors, but we're always asking the question, can we use less? So natural flavor and as little sugar as possible. That's
It works.
a simple
And
one.
okay, and what about and in terms of what you've had this in, it's similar to keep it simple
Yeah, I
in
think
terms.
nice to sip on its own. It will make a
Yeah,
great mule variant. I'd say also with that, there are some good and bad ginger beers. So,
yeah,
pick a quality ginger beer. And with this alone, that combination alone is great. And then if you want to add a squeeze of lime, if you want to enhance it any more, then you can add bitters. Probably not so much required for this flavor profile because it has a lot of those flavors you find within an aromatic bitter bottle as well. An old fashioned.
yeah.
We've done a lot of that. And then also, if you're looking at things like a Mai Tai or a Zombie or a Pina Colada, it's a great one to add another depth into those.
Mm.
Pina
Pina
colada,
colada.
when it's done well, it's a great drink.
What a great drink.
Yeah,
It's a great drink when it's done well.
Problem is, it's
Um,
made so badly so often. But
yeah.
yeah, that's a good way to twist it.
uh,
Okay.
and now the final. Let's go on to the third one because we've got about just under quarter of an hour. The coconut. We're going for the final coconut, and this is the one, Dre, that you've had the most influence on. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. So Mark came to me last year and said we're going to look at. I think their plan is to make a few more flavors. He's very good at listening to what bartenders are asking for, and I think he just it's a small team. This is what's great for me working with them is
Mm,
that if there's an idea that anyone has, it can be executed pretty quickly. So yeah, I think we had the first discussion less than a year ago, maybe a bit longer,
really?
less than a year ago.
Uh,
But we launched in the UK three months ago,
Oh
um,
dear.
working with the same. So the base is the same for all of these liquids, and then working with our flavor guy in Rotterdam. So these are natural concentrates taken from the coconut. There are two. One's taken from the liquid, so the water, the milk, the juice, and the other one's taken from the meat or the flesh of the coconut. Um,
oh, it's lovely.
and the idea was that we wanted it to taste like natural coconut.
Mm,
That's the goal. And then with everything, we test it in cocktails. The first go-to was testing this out in a daiquiri, and it just put a smile on everyone's face. It worked.
Yeah.
Just the
yeah,
same
I
for
can
people.
imagine that smashing.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah.
it was phenomenal. Actually, I think because there's so much coconut with this, the original works better with coconut water. It kind of gets too much when you combine those two, but with citrus and a little bit of sugar, it makes a stunning um, daiquiri de coco, coconut daiquiri. And I think a good indicator is that we've seen people order them again and again, go back to them, so they're not getting that kind of taste fatigue. But yeah, it's just it brings a bit of sunshine, and it may not have been my kind of first go to um, flavor to perhaps play around with, but it was very much part of what I was seeing in Bali. I was drinking coconut water every day. We have coconut with palm trees within the beach club. We did an installation in 2015 where we built a a bar, which is essentially a cage, and then when we filled them with used coconuts, we built a coconut bar, and then we did this
Oh,
menu dedicated to the coconut. So it was all these different serves and different recipes and iterations of different parts of the coconut. And we were coming across there's something I hadn't seen before, but I couldn't tell you how this happens and how we could get a regular supply. But some coconuts have I think it's called a coconut apple inside,
hmm.
and it's its own unique fruit.
What?
So we were getting, we were
I've
using
never heard of
That's like the
this. Have you
Tinder
got
egg.
this? This
anyway.
is what?
And also, the first hotel was made completely out of locally made bricks. And within that brick mix, handmade, were coconut fibers. So it was just something
Flipping
we
heck.
look at quite a lot and talk about. And it's become an ingredient that we've used a lot.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm looking out the window at the moment, Dre, and it's really shitting it down with rain here.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why you came back, really. It
yeah,
sounds
I know.
like
Yeah.
it
I
sounds
asked
like
myself.
paradise. I mean, but you're right. In as much as I don't know, I kind of think of coconut as quite a sort of fun time flavour. People are actually what people are saying on the chat here is this is like a grown up version of another coconut,
Yeah.
It feels like I
but
mean
it's
I'm
got
assuming there's
to it.
because you had the cacao in the spice, but there's no cacao in this, is there?
No, but it's
Because
there.
but
It's the taste, isn't it? I get
there
that.
is a someone said liquid bounty, and I know that is a sort of we're drilling, we're bringing it down there, but you do
Okay,
get
yeah.
that, and you do think if you had that with a lovely chunk of chocolate, that it's just this
Mm,
would be
That'd be awesome.
absolutely
Yeah. I
wonderful.
haven't tried that yet, but
mm.
I think
Um,
it's got to be done.
It's an upsell
yeah,
at the end of dinner, isn't it? In a
Yeah.
I mean,
restaurant.
I'm bringing all the ideas. I've got a coconut bird bath,
You want
and
50% of that?
don't build houses with them. Give it to the birds, guy. And
Don't
then
tell them about dog nappies, Ben. I'll be stealing that idea soon as well. But no, it's like a sophisticated interpretation of that. So I think what's interesting is that's the evidence that you can play around with any ingredient, whatever its reputation and wherever it sits in terms of the wider flavor perspective, and you can actually do something really interesting with it. So,
I
yeah, I mean
think
that's
not just that. That would not be my drink. As in, like you say, Dre, it's not your first choice of something to riff on, but it is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
really. I mean,
You
I
still, you
will. I'll,
I think it still reminds you of a rum, which is important.
yeah.
We launched this in Dubai at the Gulf Bar Show early in the year. And we had the samples lined up, and people were like, oh, yeah, okay, light rum. Yeah, we'll try that. Spice. Oh, yeah, we'll try that. And coconut, a bit hesitant, but they'd go for it. And they were all converted, which was nice to see. But yeah, it is that other coconut spirit that people have mentioned used to be made with Jamaican rum.
Yeah.
It's made with just neutral spirit now and flavored with rum,
Mm,
artificially flavored with rum, and then it has a lot of sugar and
mm,
it's still good in its own right, and I think it works really
yeah.
well in certain drinks. And it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for a lot of people, but yeah, as you said, Tom, I think yeah, just kind of grown up version of
yeah,
it.
definitely. And so, what's next? What have we've got? We've got something we haven't tried in the range.
Yeah, so this is just also coming out too. This is a blend of aged rum, so this is their dark rum. Bartenders were asking for that. Obviously, these rums and rums in general sit very well in that kind of tropical bar or tiki bar scenario, and there's quite a strong place for dark rum. So that's a blend of aged Batavian Iraq with aged Caribbean rums, different formula but similar. And then, yeah, I think they're working on again, like I think he's got a few ideas, but I think passion fruit is something that
Okay.
he's looking at. He's choosing someone else to collaborate with for that one. I think maybe a chef that he's working with in Bali.
Mm. I
Um,
mean, obviously, you travel the world and you see a lot of bars and you know a lot
Yeah.
about what's going on in the world of cocktails at the moment. Where is rum sitting at the moment in cocktails out there? Is it? I mean, we get consistently asked what's going to be the next gin, for example,
yeah,
and people often say, "Well, is it rum?" I mean, we obviously talk a lot about agave spirits,
yeah.
just because of the base it's come from and the trajectory it's on is rapid, and America is driving a lot of that, but it's happening here. Where's rum sitting at the moment, do you
Rum
think?
always seems to fluctuate quite a lot.
Mm,
And whenever I read those articles about what's next, often you see like, oh, and rum's going to have this thing again. Uh,
mm.
I think it's still a popular spirit, and there's other things that are being explored, but it's still incredibly popular. In terms of these rums, also with Nusa Cana, what I love is that they've created this almost lifestyle brand. If you look at the Instagram, you'll see that
Mm.
they collaborate with surfers and artists and musicians, and you can find their playlists, and it fits very well within Bali and other cultures that are and places that are similar to that. It does really well in Greece on the Greek islands.
Oh, really?
It
Okay.
sells really well. I think it may be pretty close to that other rum that we didn't mention earlier in terms of sales. And it's doing incredibly well in Miami too. It has,
Oh, really?
Miami has that kind
Is
of
that because of you? Is that because you've gone to these like the Athens bar shows, or you've been to Miami and have
I
contacts
went for the
there?
initial launch, but I think it depends on a lot of factors. They have a really good team in Miami.
Right.
And they've embraced it, and within all of their portfolio, this is something that they're really kind of proud to stand behind. And I think it's a popular spirit in that part of the
Hmm.
world as well. Um,
Hmm.
so we're just
And
launching UK now, so it's really brand new here.
it
Where are we getting it
it
in
was
the
on
UK?
Sunday brunch on
Oh, was it?
Oh, it's,
Sunday.
yeah,
Ian Burrell had it in one of his cocktails.
yeah. Yeah, that was a nice surprise. I think he was doing something just tying it up with Nottingham Carnival, but he likes to share
Yeah,
rum for the world. He's the global rum ambassador.
yeah.
Uh, he contacted me and said, "Can I get a few bottles?" I was like, "Hell yeah, of course." What that was
No.
for. So yeah, super happy about that.
Yeah.
We've got it's doing pretty well in Dubai and Abu Dhabi around there now.
Where can
And
people get it in the UK, Dre? Where is it available?
So at the moment, you've got at least these two available on Amazon. We should have all four pretty soon. And Master of
yeah,
Malt, I think, is the same scenario. So they're kind of two easy places to get it from. You like right now, you definitely get these, but within the next week or so, you should be able to see all four, both
Okay.
Amazon and Master of Malt.
Blimey. So this really is hot off the press.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realise it was quite so new to the UK. Because I sort of because you're online and everything. You sort of and it's I didn't realise that it's not been around so long. So I mean, this
There
is
was an
pretty much an
initial launch
exclusive,
for
guys.
this rum a couple of
Hmm.
years ago. And the people
Oh,
who were
okay,
handling it did an okay job. But I think
right,
Mark revisited it and said, okay, the portfolio is growing. Let's
yeah.
see who we
Let's
can
give it more energy. Yeah.
team up with.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's a kind of relaunch as well.
Okay. Well, do please tell Mark that if he needs a couple of really high-flying journalists to
Yeah.
come and just cast their eye over
But go to the
things.
source. Go to the
Yeah, we
source. I
always
mean, you've got to.
we're
Yeah.
thorough,
Yeah. The,
and we have to spend at
if
least a week in
nothing
that
else, just
environment
so Tom can
to
pay his
immerse
internet bill.
ourselves.
I'll let him know.
Anyway,
Yeah.
there's been some fantastic. Yeah, thanks. There's been and cyclists. Someone said, yeah, we could do the tandem ride out in Bali, Ben. That'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's been fantastic. There's been some really positive feedback on that.
Wicked.
And we've had a good crowd in tonight, but we'll make sure we get that out to the people who couldn't make the live tasting and then spread the word, Dre, because it's good gear. So congratulations to everyone on the team there for what they've
Yeah.
created.
I love it.
Deserves a
I'm
bit
going to
of-
go and because I mean, my wife is a big fan of the other coconut rum that we don't talk about. It's not something she likes to talk about either.
Then we call
In
it
fact, it's a
coconut
massive disappointment.
spirits.
One of the many areas she could improve. And
Well,
I'm
I'll
going
tell you a quick story, very quick. But that bar you mentioned earlier, Lonsdale, Notting Hill. If you remember upstairs, but we had the decor was a certain design that also Lenny Kravitz has at his pool. There's these kind of reflective bubbled tiles, and he was performing in London and then had his like after show event there, and he comes to the bar and whispers into my ear and says, "Can I get a Malibu and pineapple juice?" And I was like, "That's not very rock and roll." But we didn't have Malibu, but we had like the closest thing. But
Wow.
it's Lenny Kravitz and your wife, Ben.
I mean,
Oh, well, it's not bad then.
Very similar.
That's not bad. Is it
Very
his daughter,
similar.
though? Because if it's his daughter, then...
there are similarities I won't go into. But yes, yes. No, there's nothing. But she is going to love this. She will love this. So
Good name drop as well,
well done.
Dre.
Good skills.
Clang. That's a good one, though, to be fair. Flipping heck. Lonsdale, God, what a bar that was. My God, they were good days drinking in there. Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you so much for your time this evening, Dre. Round of applause for Dre Masso and for those fantastic rums. Go out and get those.
Dre's just got back from Italy, so he's thank you very much for. You must be knackered, so we'll enjoy
it. I do appreciate it. We'll make sure we do share lots of love for the spirits. I don't know what we've got next. I don't know what we've got next month, folks. But it will be something.
Alpha's tequila.
Yeah, see you in a month.
Malibu.
Yeah,
we've got Malibu.
All right, I'll drop you an email, guys. Okay. Brilliant.
Okay, thanks again.
Thanks, Dre. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you all next week, folks.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Bye.